So it feels so quick after waiting so long for the first round of the championship to kick off, and now we're back round to the second round with an EFL Cup fixture in between. Last week I did my predictions, and now showing on that side, I should say, is the results. Yeah, safe to say I got it quite wrong. So obviously, red is completely wrong. Orange is I got at least the right result. And if I had done it, there would be greens for any of the matches which I got the exact right outcome. But no, unfortunately, it means we got 6 points out of 60 for getting the right winner in both the Sunderland and Blackburn game. But yeah, everything else we got quite far off. A few games where we got the right amount of goals. For example, Leeds and Portsmouth. I predicted there would be 6 goals, but not split in that way. But look, we live, we learn. First round is always got to be the hardest, surely, to predict based on not knowing too much until we all take the pitch competitively. Anyway, look, let's get into the second week because that's what we are here for now, is to see exactly what is going to happen in this weekend's fixtures. Same as last one, we'll be scoring the exact same way. The fact file will be coming up, and also you'll be seeing the team's crests on my shoulder as well. So let's get into the first game, because we're opening up tomorrow night with Coventry hosting Oxford United. Now, look, I got to see plenty of Oxford United last weekend, unfortunately, as they went and picked Norwich apart, winning 2-0. I was very, very impressed. While Norwich were absolutely a lot poorer than I had kind of hoped we would be, even though this is going to be a transition season, Oxford were very good. They clearly had a plan for what they wanted to do with their team and what they wanted to do to beat us, and they carried it out perfectly. For me, I think Coventry, it was a shock that they lost to Stoke, but when I was doing a little bit of research for both the Championship predictions and also the Matchday 1 predictions, I did note that Coventry were quite slow starters notoriously. And I think, unfortunately, that is going to continue. I think Oxford will be riding this high from beating us and also beating their opponent in the EFL Cup. And they'll continue this, winning 2-1. Next, we move on to Derby, who have the privilege of hosting Middlesbrough, who had a fantastic EFL Cup win against Leeds. Middlesbrough are one that I think are going to do really, really well this season. Obviously started off a win themselves, which was good to see, while Derby did get absolutely torn apart by Blackburn. I think it's going to be another really, really tough afternoon for Derby. I think Middlesbrough are going to have way too much for them and are going to cruise out 3-0 winners to make it 6 goals scored and 0 goals conceded for Middlesbrough in 1 week. So Portsmouth are going to be back home for the first time this season in the Championship, and they are going to be hosting Luton. Many people's favourites to be one of the promotion contenders this year. Luton obviously had a very rough start to life, losing 4-1, getting battered really, torn apart by Burnley, who definitely my favourites for second place this year. Maybe that will be changing closer to the mid part of this season. I do think that Portsmouth were probably the standout team of last weekend, bar Oxford. To go to Ellen Road and perform the way they did and be so close to taking all 3 points is an exceptional performance from Portsmouth. And really, I think getting back home and getting back in front of their home fans, they're going to continue those exceptional performances. I think they're going to continue to pour the misery onto Luton Town and win this one 2-1. So, from Portsmouth to Portsmouth's former opponent, as West Brom are going to host Leeds. West Brom got themselves off with a fantastic win against QPR. I really thought they were going to struggle a little bit more and show a bit of inconsistency this year. So whether or not that is true or whether we will start to see a bit of that, we'll have to see. But it was an extremely good performance with Josh Meyer coming out with a hat-trick. Going to be an early front-runner out of nowhere for winning Golden Boot this season. Leeds have got a fantastic team, but are also now on the cusp of losing Jorginho Ruta, as he has had his release clause met by Brighton. It wasn't the best of starts, obviously, for Daniel Farke, starting the season with a draw to a newly promoted team and then losing very, very convincingly to Middlesbrough in the Cup. For me, I've got this being a very close game. I see Leeds continuing their drawing form and West Brom picking up a solid point at home as this one finishes 2-2. Then we have Bristol City hosting Millwall. I'm sure this will be a fun and physical game for sure. It's going to be one of those ones where it's two teams that I think are going to be in and around the mid-table if they can kick on and pick up some nice pockets of results. Millwall not starting life as they would have hoped, losing on the opening day, but Bristol picking up a hard-fought point against Hull. Unlucky that Estepinian was able to steal a point for Hull in the last minutes. For me, I think this is where Bristol City are going to show their dogmaticness, and Millwall are going to get a little bit more solid than we saw at the opening weekend, especially having started with a loss. I think this is going to be another point each, finishing 1-1. And a solid hard-fought point for each of them. Then we come to what I think might very well be another exceptional game and potentially game of the weekend. Burnley hosting Cardiff. Cardiff struggled in their opening game, coming up against a very, very strong Sunderland side, but couldn't really land too many punches on them. Whereas Burnley on the opposite side went on their travels and absolutely, as we say, dominated Luton, ripping them apart. I think that is exactly what is going to continue here. I think it's going to be a very, very painful evening or afternoon and evening for the Cardiff City fans out in Wales as they are unfortunate to sit through a 4-0 demolition, giving Burnley a perfect start to the season. So we come to my club, Norwich City, and I will be at the game, and I will be doing another match vlog. It'll be my third within a week. Very, very lucky right now to be watching so much football. Norwich have had a really rough start to the season. Had a much better performance against Stevenage. Yes, all right, it was a tight one, but there were two key points we take away from it. We absolutely understand right now that our biggest shortfall is set-piece defence. And again, we had a nicely rotated squad that was able to get us through that game, which is the most important thing. A win's a win. And when we conceded the last goal late on, a lot of that was down to, I think, tired legs and bringing on more youngsters and kind of sitting back at that point, knowing the game was probably won. Blackburn, they have had an exceptional start to the season, scoring 10 goals and conceding 3 in their opening championship game and EFL Round 1 game. Look, clearly they've got the ability to score plenty of goals, and we do have that one weakness in us defensively right now. But I think we showed that when we get ticking, we will be able to rip a lot of teams apart. Because of that, I think that this is going to be 2-2. I don't really see us picking up maximum points, which pains me to say. I think it's going to be a hard-fought 2-2 for Norwich, or Blackburn will squeeze out with all 3 points. So let's go down to Plymouth, who have Hull come down to visit. Plymouth obviously had a horrendous start to the season, losing 4-0 in another demolition like we had last weekend by Sheffield Wednesday this time. Obviously, they picked themselves back up and were able to win 3-0 in the League Cup, but by no means, obviously, against a particularly exceptional team. I think Hull are going to be, obviously, very, very strong opposition, and I personally think, in some ways, stronger opposition than Sheffield Wednesday. Because of this, I've got Hull down as winning 1-0 and taking all 3 points in a tight game. I think what we saw opening day of the season shows a lot of potential for Sheffield Wednesday. But I really think it is going to be these first few games we're just going to see quite how bad Plymouth are. So let's go to one of my favourites, or my favourites to win the championship, not just to get one of my favourites to get promoted. Sheffield United taking on QPR. Well, they won their opening game extremely comfortably away to Preston North End. Normally a quite difficult game. A really dogmatic team who have been in the championship a long time now. And we're able to follow that up also by winning their round 1 game against Wrexham. QPR, on the other hand, obviously losing to West Brom at home. I had them down to win that one. I thought they would be able to squeeze out a solid 1 or 2-0 win on that one. Interesting to see that it didn't quite work. Elias Chair is obviously a big miss for them right now, and hopefully he will be back soon. As much as the fact file obviously shows, currently it's 20 wins for Sheffield United, 20 draws, and 19 wins for QPR. I'd love to say that I see it being 3 sets of 20 by the end of this game, but unfortunately I don't, and I'd rather try and score points on these predictions. I see Sheffield United winning this 2-1. I think QPR will offer a little bit more, maybe, to that defence. It's going to be a pretty comfortable win for Sheffield United, I think. So, Swansea City, second and final Wales squad. Let's get them done for this weekend. And they have got Preston North End coming to town. Both teams starting their seasons off with a loss and will be wanting to rectify that as quickly as possible. Swansea and Preston now very solid mainstays in the Championship, and you can see they're starting to rack up the amount of times they've played each other, with it being quite tight across the board, the results that come out. For me, I think that this is going to be home home advantage taking a bit more precedent. I think both teams, are going to be really, really cagey to start the game. With those nerves of the opening weekend probably still being around. And I think that will lead to Swansea just about strolling out 2-1 winners against Preston. So from two teams who lost both lost their opening games. In our final two fixtures, all four teams won their opening games. We'll start with Watford taking on Stoke. Watford did really, really well to push Millwall all the way, winning it right at the last. And for a team that I thought was really going to struggle, very, very impressive victory. Stoke, equally impressive, having Coventry come to town, a game that you would think would be extremely hard for them, and I think most people would have Coventry down as the favourites, and they were able to defend extremely strongly, ride a little bit of luck here and there, and come out 1-0 winners. For me, I think again this is going to come down to home advantage between two teams in a great mood right now, playing a bit of mischief. Seeing Watford go out 2-1 winners in what will be a tough game for both of these teams. And finally, we land on Sunderland taking on Sheffield Wednesday. Again, as I say, two teams who won both their opening games, and two teams who played each other a lot. And it's a very, very close run thing on the record between the two. For me, I think Sheffield Wednesday were very, very impressive, but I think the team they were coming up with, up against weren't maybe the strongest. Whereas, Sunderland did really well to very comfortably pick Cardiff apart, and come home with the maximum points when they visited Wales. For me, I think it's going to be a great game. Both teams have got some, real quality in the squad, and managers who are going to want to just have a proper go at it. And because of that, I think that this is going to be 3-2 to Sunderland. So look, that's my match day 2 predictions for the championship. Of course, we will ahead of match day 3 be revealing the points I end up getting, and I hope to get a damn sight more than 6. Give me your predictions down in the comments. I'd love to hear them, and of course, let me know who you're supporting this weekend and how you think they're going to get on in this game, and also into the later stage of the championship. There's plenty more content to come, so please also do hit that subscription button. And most importantly, thank you for your time, and I will see you in the next one.